Hello guys. Welcome to a third episode in LabView. If you guys remember, last time we started working briefly on our Sudoku project, or at least the way we wanted it to. I'm just going to repeat something we did last time. We started an array, and we set this array to be a numeric array using numbers. And I right-clicked here to remove the increments which are on the side. And what I also did was I needed to add a second dimension to our array to get this 2D feeling to it. So there we go. Here's our array of 2 dimensions. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to take this and move to the next step. Now, it is important to kind of see how many ways we can divide our array into. Right? So first of all, we're going to need just 9 by 9 roughly, and that will be the blank of the Sudoku, which is right here. So remember, these two are linked. Now, the first thing we need to do or understand how to do is divide the array into columns and into squares and to other things for us to check what whether there is like a winning situation, or if there's anything that the program can do or not do in our example. So it all comes down to understanding how Sudoku works and how we want to program it. Now, it's very important to remember that there are 3 conditions for winning. We have our columns, we have our rows, and we have our 9 squares, right? And each one, we're going to have 9 of them. So there are 9 rows, there are 9 columns, and there are 9 sections, if you will, or blocks in it. And we can divide this information and look at it whenever we want to. And we will have to do that every time to figure out what to do. Now, an important thing to do is to be able to divide the data into a manageable sequence of numbers. And I'm going to try to do that using this array system. I'm going to get rid of the indexer. And what I'm going to do might seem a little awkward, but I'm hoping this will make some sense. I'm just copy pasting, so I'm not doing anything fancy. But with my copy, okay, I would like to get rid of the titles too. There we go. So I wanted this to better resemble what a real Sudoku looks like. So this is what the real Sudoku looks like, and this is how it's divided. And there we go. Here they are. These are the 9 squares that it is divided into. So 1, 2, 3. Then let's see, which ones are these 3? These are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? So that's 9. That's 5. That's 1. Now again, if you notice, the numbers here are not, and again I repeat, the numbers here are not shown in the front panel, but here I can see them because this is in the code. This is what the player sees, and I don't want the player to see them, so that's why they are hidden. I could also come into the decorations bar. If you go into modern, they have decorations, and I can further create decorations to make this look even nicer. But I don't want to do that because that's a big waste of time right now. So there we go. So now we have our initial Sudoku system, which is in these 9 arrays. And now we come into a what I'm going to call a dilemma, because we need to figure out how we want to divide and understand this data. Because this data eventually will need to stem from one place, and we'll need to be able to manipulate it whenever we need to. Now, the hardest thing in the code is to work with these sections. Working with the column is much easier when everything is working correctly, shall I say. So there is a way where we can actually combine arrays together to get one finalized array. And if we right click here, go into arrays, we can build an array which basically adds the arrays together. And I'm going to go ahead and do that for the first 3 arrays. As you see, this square, if you remember, is used to add more things. So I'm going to take the first array and the second array and the third array, and I'm going to get an array out here. I'm going to create an indicator for this array. Now, I know this array is wrong before even starting, because this has 3 of them here, right? Remember I told you that we could use this, but this would not be what we're looking for, and this is why. Because this would actually put them, this one on top of this one on top of that one, so making a 3D array, not a long 2D array. So using this system is actually not what we want. What we want to do is we want to add into it, so insert into an array, right? And if you look at this, you will notice some things that are a little difficult, but again, this becomes much easier to understand. So the first one is the n-dimensional array. In our case, we're going to put in the first 2-dimensional array into it. There it is. Now, the next one is going to tell me the indexes, and the indexes are basically telling me where I want to insert the next one, right? And then this last one is what I will be inserting. So I will be inserting into this one, I'm going to be inserting the second one for now, and then I will be inserting the third one, but I'm actually not sure if we can do that from here. This is very interesting. I'm not sure what would happen if I put it here, because this is new element subarray. Sorry guys. Alright, I'm gonna do it like this for now, and then I'll experiment with it with you guys. So as I said, I'm gonna be learning along with you guys while working here. So we're gonna put the second array into the first array, and this is asking us where. And as you can see, it tells you which row and then which column, right? We're gonna insert it into the 0th row, right? And then we're gonna insert it on the 0, 1, 2, the third column. So I'm gonna put in the column data as 3, and I'm gonna move this for now here. So I'm not gonna set the row because by default the row sets itself to 0. Now I'm gonna create an indicator. Here's this, the output array, which is right here. It's 2D, which is perfect, exactly what I wanted. And I'm gonna take this and make it bigger so that we can see everything going on. Now, how do we know that this is working? Well, trial and error. I love doing tests or experiments or whatever you want to call them on this. So I'm going to run the system. Obviously nothing will happen because I don't have any data. Now, remember, these 3 are inputs. These are all inputs. These 9 are inputs. This is my output right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill these with random numbers. So I'm going to say this is 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I just messed this up, but that's fine. Okay, I did mess it up. It's no problem. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, if I run the code and this worked correctly, it will combine these 2. Therefore, what I should get here should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I need to add the 7, 8, 9, and I'm not sure if I can do this from here, so I'm gonna experiment. I'm gonna connect this right there and see what happens. This may or may not work. If it goes by order, then the result will be 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, because this will overprint on top of that. But again, I'm not sure. Let's see. Ah, this is beautiful. It did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I might be able to get away with this. This might be the delta index that's used. What if I get rid of this? What would happen then? Let's see. Run. Aha, you guys see what happened there. So what happened here is that it just inserted under it instead of to the side of it. So that tells me that I need to specify which column. In this case, please insert it into the third column. And now let's run it again. We have the right one. To make sure this is working, I'm going to go ahead and add a number right there. I'll do another 7. This 7, by the way, forced this array to be complete, but not these. But when we add them, this 7, which should be right there, will force all of them to be zeros, if this is working correctly. Let's see. Oh. Alright, so we apparently have a problem right here, because this is not working. I'm not sure where this 7 is. So this 7 is not being added to the fold. Let me add a 4 here and see if that will be added. Nope, that's not being added. Let's add a 1 here. Ah, so when I added here, it worked. Now I know why. So the problem was not that these were here. The problem was that this is our initial array, right? Remember? So let me click on this for the help. This is our initial array, and our initial array initially at the beginning did not include the second and third rows. So the second and third were ignored here, and the second and third were ignored here. So apparently we need to have this starting off. But this is a perfect start. We have our first 3, as you can see right here. The first 3 are combined into this. Now what we need to do is we need to combine all of these together. The fastest way to do this is to have 3 arrays, repeat again and again, and then combine them together to get the entire array. Some of you might be wondering, why on earth am I going through all this complication to have this array system set up this way instead of doing it in an easier way? And sadly, I do not have an easy answer for you, but what I can tell you is that by doing it this way, I am actually making work a little easier on myself later on in the future. Alright, so I'm gonna get rid of these, and there they are, our first 3 arrays. Now we can obviously arrange these in any way here. It does not affect the code at all how you arrange them. That is mostly due to the fact that the code is visual. So basically all that matters is how you connect them by wires. It does not really matter how you do anything else to them. Let's see. So I get pretty technical about the way I do this. For no real reason, it does not really matter, but I'm just that way. So I'll need to arrange this later on. But what I'm going to do is I just copy pasted these 3 to get another 3. And instead of having 3 twice, I'm going to get the 3 from this wire and connect it to this one down there, so that it's easier to, so that we have less constants floating around, if you will, even though it does not quite matter. So here's our second 3 rows, and I'm going to put them right there. And I'm going to do this one more time and add them down here. Oh, why is this not working? There we go. There we go. Connect this to that. And there we go. There it is. Here's our third column. Let's go ahead and select these 3 and put them with the rest. There it is. Here's our Sudoku board, as you can see here. And now we have 3 of them. Now, I'm going to disconnect the output, because what we need to do now is we need to connect these 3 together. So I take the initial one, and this time I add the row, right? So our row this time needs to be 3. And then we're gonna add this one and then this one. And then we're gonna connect this to the output array. Let's see what node we get. Perfect. We got all the numbers right there. I hope this is making some sense to you guys, because if it's not, then, well, that's horrible. Yep. So I'm gonna just do some minor arranging around here. There we go. And there we go. So I will work on arranging this later on to make it more compact and simpler. By the way, these could be further simplified by taking away the icon status, and we can take off the label, right? So by taking off the label for all of these, I'm not sure if I can delete the label per se. No. Well, I'm gonna delete all the labels here. And I'm going to take away their icon status. This is just the way they look, so that they will take less space and look simpler in the code instead of being bulky and just sitting there. Again, I didn't actually explain to you guys why I'm doing it this way, and hopefully I'll be able to do that soon if we get the situation where having them this way makes more sense. Otherwise, it's going to be quite difficult to explain why I'm doing them this way. Now, what I'm doing right now is purely, I'm not going to say for fun, but it's purely optional. I personally enjoy having my code organized this way. For one thing, it takes up very little space, and I actually like that a lot. I don't want my code to be taking up so much space that it gets very difficult to work with. Also, it makes things easier in the long run, for me at least, because now, to me, when I see this now, I look at it and I be like, oh, okay, this is much more this is much simpler, much easier to understand what's happening, right? It's no longer arranged in the way it was earlier, where we had them all set up in the square view as they are in the visual, the user interface right there. But that's okay. So let's see, almost done here. I promise you guys this is going to be just the most annoying thing I will ever do, is work on arranging the codes. And then this 3 is just bothering me, sitting up there alone, but there's nowhere else to put it for now, so that's fine. There we go. So there's the code, fully compressed. What for professional, I'm gonna say professional LabView code, this could be made into a sub VI, which I will not worry about till later on. For now, this is fine, and I'm going to put it into, well, I'm just gonna leave it. I'm not gonna put it, I was gonna put it in flat sequence, but that doesn't matter. There we go. So now what did we do here? We took these 9 inputs, right here, which are these 9 inputs, and combined them together to come up with this single output array, right? It's pretty straightforward, I hope. Very easy to understand what this just did. Now, I could put this as a sub VI, where I put in 9 inputs and get out 1 output and call it a combination. And I can explain that in more detail later on. For now, this is fine. I hope this made sense to everybody. Now we can move on to our next step after I combine them, and this is going to be awkward, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to break them apart into each individual column and each individual row. That's the only reason I combine them. So how do we do that? We go to our array. It's a very simple index array function. What the index does is it cuts and gives us a part of the array, right? So I'm going to put that here. The input to that is going to be first the n-dimension array, in this case this combined array, and here we have two settings. The first one is going to be the row and the second one is the column. In this case I'm going to tell it I want the first column, right? The first column is column 0, and then I'm going to create an indicator right here. Now this array is a 1D array, as you can see, and I'm going to just do that and run the code, and there you go. 1 0 0 1 0 0 1 0 0. So this is the zeroth array here, the column, zeroth column, right? And then if I do this as 1 and run it, I have the first column, or well, the second column. This is 0, this is 1, this is the 2's, and then I can keep going all the way up to 8, not 9, 8. The 8th column is this one with the 9's and 7's, right? So this is a very quick, and just to show you guys what just happened, this array is 1D and I cannot stretch it to the side. It doesn't allow me to. See, it's only a blue one going down and up. There's nothing going right like here. Here it gives me left and right as well as up and down. Alright, so there we go. So now I have access to all of the subarrays as far as the columns go. Now, these sections are very important. And I did most of this to teach you guys what's going on. Now we know how to get the columns, and we can just do the same thing to get the rows. But the rows we connect to, there we go, we connect to the row section, and I'm gonna get you guys the, let's see, 0 1, let's say the second row, right? And it's gonna show up on subarray 2, and then I'm gonna run it, and there is 0 0 1 0 0 4 0 0 7 0 0 1 0 0 4 0 0 7. Now you might notice this is a 1D array, but it's vertical and it's horizontal here. That's just semantics. I could take this back to the initial point, and I could take the whole thing and stretch it sideways and have it look like that. It does not matter, but it is important to realize it's only in one dimension, right? Either vertical or horizontal does not matter. It's one dimension. That is what matters. Alright, there we go. So now we have access to our horizontal and our vertical data. Now, the next step to do is to be able to take the array and break it apart into its sections. And this gets kind of difficult because we're going to have to take different sections of different columns and different arrays and put them together. Now, we can do this purely from the columns or purely from the rows. It does not matter, but this needs to be done. And to give you a better understanding of what I am talking about, I'm simply talking about this array that we have down here, right? If we take this and I want to convert it back to this so that I can do tests on the section itself to see if it is complete or not. And how do we do that? The way we do that is not as hard as it might sound. What we need to do is we need to take this, break it up into its columns, and then we take, for example, the first row, and then break it up into 1, 2, 3 only. Forget about this. So we take this part of this row. And let me show you how that works. So we're going to get the index, connect this to it, and then we're going to take which row? We're going to take create constant. We are going to take row 0. Now, in row 0, this is what we have. We know what we have. I'm going to create an indicator just to show you guys, to reiterate. I'm going to put it here just for fun for now and stretch it. There we go. Now I'm going to run the code so you see it. here it is. We could make this block a little bigger. There we go. Yep. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I just want the 1, 2, 3 part of this. So how do I do that? Well, what I can do is split up this array up to the third column, right? So what we have here is a 1D array, and what I need is a subset of that array. So we get this one here, which is array subset. And this gets pretty interesting. Here's the array subset. Now, we could get this array as an input, right? And then, in this case, it's only 1D, so we have the index where we start and how long, which is, in this case, the rest of it. These, in parentheses, are the initial settings. In this case, I want to start at the 0, and I want to take 3 blocks. 0 is default, so I don't need to worry about it. But the length, I need just the first 3. And then I go ahead and right-click and create an indicator for that. It has another 1D array, but now this... Oh, sorry guys. I need to move the whole thing. There we go. Now this array should show 1, 2, 3 only. And there we go. 1, 2, 3. We have just divided this into a row and then took the first 3 of that row. What if I wanted the second 3 of that row? Well, we would create this again. There we go. And I'm going to put this right here for now. And again, the length is 3, but this time we're not starting at 0. This time where we are starting is going to be at 0, 1, 2, 3. So we're also starting at 3. I can actually connect this to here and get rid of this. And this one here will give me 4, 5, 6. And there we go, 4, 5, 6. Now for the last one, we'll need 7, 8, 9, right? And this will not be 0, this will not be 3, this will need to start at 0.6, right? So it's 0, remember, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we take 6, 7, 8. And that should give us subarray 4, which is sitting down here, which should be 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. There we go. Now this looks complicated. We could simplify a little by getting rid of this block right here, and we could use this function directly from the 2D array right there. Creates this more complex version of what's going on here, where we will need to select what we want from the row and the column, right? So I would say, for example, okay, well, I want, as we did here, what we did was we selected the columns, right? And the columns are this last one. So for the 1, 2, 3, we selected the 0 index, and then we took length 3. There we go. So what we just did here is we selected the first 3 columns, and then we need to select the rows, right? In this case, row 0 is fine, but as far as the length, I only want 1. So only that 1, right? And if I take this and create an indicator of that, we get a 2D subarray, because we're working in a 2D system. And what this does, if I run it, it's going to give us 1, 2, 3 only. It should give us 1, 2, 3. Let me hope so first. There we go. It only gave us 1, 2, 3, but it gave us 1, 2, 3 as a 2D array, not as a 1D array, because we are dealing with a 2D array. So it gave us a 2D array with only 1 row, right? Which is kind of tricky. What we would need to do is come here, go to array, and we would need to use this reshape array. And the reason we would use this is to take this data, and then the dimension size, I'm going to leave it blank for now, and then create the output. And now the output from this should give us the 1, 2, 3 as, oh, giving us an error. There's the error. I didn't wire the size. This gets tricky because, like, now if I set the size to 2, that means it's going to give me a 1D array of size 2, which is not what we want. So it'll give us only 1, 2. See? But if I set it to like 9, it'll give us 1, 2, 3, and the rest will be zeros. See? Because it's creating all the way up to 9. Let's make this smaller and expand this there all the way to 9. So this would need to be 3 to tell it that I'm setting it to only 3. So it gets a little tricky to reshape this array. And the reason that is because we only took 1. If we took 2, or let's do 3 from here, right, and run it, this one here will include 1, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. This will be 1. And this will only be 1, 2, 3. Let me show you that. There we go. Now, I'll need to extend this up to 9, because this 1 will be all the way at the end where the 9 should be. There it is. Because it did 1, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. It converted this 2D into this 1D. And I have to give it a size. And that, as I said, that gets kind of very annoying to deal with. So this is why I did not initially use this step, even though it might actually be easier, yep, I am saying easier, to use this system with a conversion adjacent to it. We might be able to get away without the conversion. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this new system that I have just discussed. I'm going to move it to the side, and I'm going to fix the wires up. There we go. And I'm going to come here and work with this system, but without the 1D array. Alright. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all this that we're not going to use. Sorry, I thought I might come back and use it, but I guess not. There we go. So we have our first subarray, which will take the first, see, it's taking this block out. So here's our first block, regenerated. Now, what if I want the second block? Now, I'm going to leave these here because the second block gets tricky. We come back, take the initial line. Now, what do we need for this block? For this block, the row, right, we're going to start the same row system, but the columns, I want them to start at point 3, right? And point 3 is right here. Create a constant for point number 3, then create another indicator. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to simplify this indicator and use it over and over again just to make things easier. There we go. And then copy paste. I'm going to use it here. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to take this visible items, get rid of that. Take this visible items, take that out, and I'm going to get rid of the names. Names are very important. They help you keep things organized, but for now I don't really care much about it. And I'm going to connect this to that and run it. And there we go. We got the next bunch, 456.000.004. The reason I made it bigger is to make sure that there was no error. There it is. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do this exact thing one more time from the original. And this time we're going to cut off at 6. That's going to give us subarray. Why do they keep coming up here? So awkward. I'm going to move, oh no, not you. I'm going to move the whole, this thing, yeah. So this should give us 7, 8, 9 to 7. And there it is. That worked. Now these are the first 3, which are simple. Now comes the hard ones. And I'm going to do the first hard one. There we go. And this time we are taking 3 again, but we are starting at point 3 yet again. Starting at point 3. Now this looks complicated, but this will become so much, you will not believe how much easier this will become if you just wait with me. And then we're going to take the columns starting at 0. This sub 8 right now should give us this point right here. There it is, 1, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0, 1. I can add a 5 here to set up a check standard. There it is, not here, here. So what did I do here? Right? So let's look at the help. First, you set the index, right? The index is where you want to start, right? For the row and then the column. For the row, I want to start at point 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. I want to start here. And then I want to take how many rows? 3 rows. So first row, second row, third row. So now I took these 3 rows, which I can't highlight. But I've took these 3 rows, all of them. The next step is to select the column. Where do I want to start? I want to start on the 0 point again, and again take only 3. So I took 0, 1, 2, 3. So now I took this block. To take this block, all I need to do is convert this 0 into a 3, and now I have taken this block. Let me show you that. There we go. Now it's this block. It's not because I'm moving it, it's just because of how it is. And then we keep doing this over and over again until we get all the blocks, right? So that's what we need to do. Now I'm going to delete all that we just did. And yes, I will be doing a lot of deletions as I am trying to teach you guys, because as I said, the best way to learn is by trial and error. Now, all of them are going to be 3 by 3 squares. So I'm just going to connect these two 3's together so I don't have to deal with them individually later on. And I'm going to move this way, and I'm going to move this up here. There we go. Now this is far from view. And now we are in the 3, 0 system. Now, what is this going to give me? This is the row, right? And this is the column. In this case, row 3. Let's do row 6, column 6. What would that give us? That would give us, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're in the 6th row. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're in this one. So this one now will give us 7, 8, 9, 0, 0, 0, 7. And I'm going to put a 5 here for checking. And there it is. We just got that. All right. Do you guys notice the pattern? Right. So this is 0, 0. Right. This is 0, 0. This is going to be 3, 0. This is 6, 0. This. Okay, you guys get it, right? So this is zeros. These are 0, 0. And then so 0, 3, 6, 0, 3, 6. Basically, we're multiplying by 3 each time for this and for this. We can easily get the multiplication here, right? And multiply this number by 3, and then input it here. So I'm going to delete this, and then input it here. And multiply this by 3, which is right there. I'm going to take it from here. Right? And then I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Now this might look complicated, but trust me, this is about to get simple very fast. So hopefully you guys are paying enough attention. So there we go, and I need the 3 to reach that point as well. And there we go. It has reached that. You have to notice that these lines that don't intersect don't get a dot. Right? So this line is just passing over this line, not through this line. And there we go. So now what did I just do? I set up a YX system instead of an XY. If you want it as an XY system for visual help, I can just flip these around. There we go. And this is my X and Y quadrant. So 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. So which one do you want? You want the middle one? 0, 1, 0, 1. So basically 1, 1 should give me the middle one, and I'm gonna add a 1, 2, 3 here to make this make sense, and run. There it is. I got 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, 0, 0, 4. I got the 1, 1 quadrant. If you want the 1, 2 quadrant, remember I flipped them, so 1 and then 2 is gonna be this one, and I'm gonna put a 9 in here to prove it. There we go. We just got this one. So now we have quick access using this system, right, to any quadrant here that we want. And it was that simple to do that. How awesome is that? So now we have a way to get the row very easily, the column very easily, and now with this system we can get whatever one of these 9 quadrants we want also very easily. Now it is important to realize that there are 9 of them. We could probably set up a system to cycle through them so we don't have to do it one by one. Alright, so I'm hoping I'm not complicating things on everyone. I've been trying to explain things as we go along to make things easier. I'm hoping that is what's going on here. I definitely don't want to be complicating things, but as I said, well, I mean, you're learning something new. It will not be easy. So definitely I am expecting, and you should be expecting, this to be a challenge to you guys, because if it is not a challenge, then, well, I don't know what that means, but it should be a challenge. That's the one thing I do know, is that this should indeed definitely be a challenge to you guys. There we go. I'm just doing some rearranging for, well, no real reason other than I like to make things look simpler whenever I'm dealing with LabView, because the code can quickly become tricky and messy and confusing. At least that's how it is with me. So if you guys don't have that problem, or don't think you will have that problem, then you're fine. There we go. I'm gonna leave it like this for now, and I'm gonna keep these up here, and we'll work with these later on. So there we go. So this is an easy way to select which section we want. That gives us that section, and then I can actually take this. There we go. I'm gonna take this again, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna set up an access to our rows and columns. So the first one I'm gonna do is gonna be the columns, and the columns are down here. The length of the column is the entire column. I just need to choose. Okay, so the rows, let's do it in the same manner. So first of all, the row. Which row do you want? 0, 1, 2, 3, all of them. And how many do you want? We want only one row, and then which row. So this here tells us which row, and this here we're gonna want it to be 1, because it is telling us that we want only one row out of this. There it is. So I'm gonna create an indicator here, and if I did not do anything wrong, hopefully, this should give us the entire, well, since this is a row, I'm going to put it this way, make this similar. This should give us the entire first row. And there it is, 1, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. So that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. The only little thing is I need to reshape it. Before this, I will take it, I will reshape it into a single 9D array. So let's do it this way, and that way. There we go. And now I'm going to create an indicator from here, and what this is a 1D 9-point array. Let's make this smaller, let's make this bigger. I'm going to get rid of the name and get rid of the index, and then I'm going to run it, and there it is, 1 through 9. How beautiful is that? These are our rows right here. Now we can do the same exact thing for the columns. I'm going to put that right under it. But the difference is that instead of connecting them here, we need to connect the one here and connect this one right there. There we go. Now this will give us the 0th column. Make this smaller, make this bigger. The 0th column, which should look exactly like this, if I did it right. There it is. Right? Perfect. So this is our column right there. And I'm gonna put that. Oh, nope. Oh, what did I do? Nope. There we go. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that right there. And I'm gonna take these 3, and I'm gonna move them higher, and there we go. This is the row and the column, and everything is right there. Now, for easier access, right, I'm gonna move this here even higher, get it out of the way, because this is what we're working with right now. We don't care about anything else. What we're working with is this for our rows, and we're working with this for our columns, and working with this for our section. Now, what I want is I want to create a system where I can easily tell it which row and which column I want, and it will tell me what that is. It will also tell me what that is, and it will show me its sections very, very easily, right? The keyword here is easily. So here I have this as a constant. I'm going to right click on the wire, and then I'm going to create a control, and then I'm going to connect this control to it, and I'm going to get rid of this. There we go. So now this is controlled by a control, which is right here, and I'm going to call this row number, and then I'm going to have another one for the column number, right? There we go. There we go. I could call this, if this makes it easier, I could call this the Y row number, and this would be the X column number. Does not really matter what you call them, but just to know, it's easier for mathematicians perhaps to see it as X and Y, right? And there we go. So here's my X and my Y, and I can put these in any way I want. It does not matter, right? So I'm going to put them like this for now. So what I just did is I set up a system. If I run this continuously, now it's giving me the 0, 0 point, which is right here. It's giving me this row and this column. Let's say I want this middle point, right? What would that be? That's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So the middle is 4. So if I put this to 4 and this to 4, it just gave me the column and the row for the fourth point right here, right? So the column is 5, 0, 0, 5, 2, 5, 0, 0, 5, 2, so on. And then the row is 0, 5, 0, 1, 1, and blah, blah, blah. Now, the only thing I don't have here is the section, where I want this to be smart enough to realize which section I'm in. I want it to know if I'm here, here, or here. And that will come down to a little mathematics. You are never, ever going to be able to run away from mathematics. No matter what you do in life, math is everywhere. Yeah. So what we need to do is set up I'm going to stop this, set up a simple equation that would take the column number or row number and decrease it to 0, 1, or 2, right? Now we know that this number is going to come from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we take the column or the row and simply divide by 3, if I go to numeric, divide, I'm going to take the x value and then create a constant of 3, and then I'm going to create an indicator. Best way to test things is just create indicators. Let's see what we get, and I'm going to run it. So number 4 gives me 1.33. I'm going to run it continuously. If I put in x0, it gives me 0, x1, x2, x3 is 1, x4, x5, x6 is 2, 7, and 8. So if I round down, right, that should be, my problems should be solved. If I take this, divide by 3, and then if I round down numeric, and then here, round towards negative infinity, right? So I just take this number, round to negative infinity, and then feed it back into this for testing, right? I'm just gonna do this thing that I like doing. There we go. What will this do now? This will now give me the rounded number that I wanted. And if I run it, there we go. 8 is 2. 1. Oh, continuous there. 1 is 0. So 0 is 0. 1 is 1. 2 is 0. I'm sorry, 1 is 0. 2 is 0. 3 is 1. 4 is 1, and so on and so on. There we go. So now all I need to do is take this data, this number, and feed it into my system right here for the x and y, right? So I'm going to get rid of this. This here is my x, which will replace this one. And I get rid of this. There we go. And I'm going to add this here. Instead of using 2 3s, I'm going to do that thing I did where I'm going to use 1 3. I enjoy doing this, even though it is totally not necessary. I just, for some reason, call it personal satisfaction or whatever you want to call it, it just makes me feel better about my code when I simplify it. Not you guys or anyone does not need to do this. I'm not going to say not recommended because I do not frankly know what is or is not recommended. So there we go. Now what we have just done is we set up a system where you feed the x coordinate and the y coordinate, if that's what you want to call it, and it will give me all the data relevant to it. And let's test this. And since we have 4 4 from last time, when I run it, this here should change to this. There it is. Right? Because I'm on the x4 and the y4, which is the middle. If I go x5, what will happen? The only thing that will change from here to here is not the row, not the section, but only this is the only thing that should change when I convert this to 5. So let's see. There it is. That's the only, I'm going to run it continuously. That's the only thing that changed. Now when I go to 6, what's going to change is the column and the section. 6 should change this and this when I press enter. And there we go. Change this and that. How beautiful is that? So now we have access to everything, all the numbers from 0, 0 to 8, 8. And that is perfect. This is an excellent first step that we have done, is this one right here, right? What we did up here, it was kind of to teach you guys something, how to combine these into this big one. Because we're going to use something very similar. Instead of inserting, we're going to be doing replacing. And basically, whenever we find a correct thing in the puzzle that we want to do, I want the computer to automatically update this into that. The reason I put it this way, because it's easier to work with, because filling in this, you have no idea what's where. It gets very complicated, but filling in this is much easier. Wouldn't you guys agree with me? I could actually even make this better. Yeah, anyway, so this will be the end of this episode. I hope you guys are learning something. As I said earlier, I hope you have the program, because if you don't have it, then this might be a little hard to be able to play around with. And if you don't play with it, then, well, you're gonna have some problems. Yeah, I need to standardize all these sizes. It's frustrating sometimes to do some things, but it's alright. Yeah, it's fun. Ultimately, what I'm doing here is just for fun, but hopefully, as I said, hopefully you guys are learning something from it. Alright, I'm gonna end this episode for now, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.